All right, let's jump right in. We're going deep, deep into the life of AbdulRahman ibn Auf.
One of the companions of Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, and I got to say, after going through these Islamic lectures you sent over, wow, this guy's life, what a story.
Oh, absolutely. It really is a remarkable story.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. It highlights the transformative power of faith, but also the challenges and the opportunities.
Come with wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, AbdulRahman started as, a pretty successful businessman in Mecca, but then converts to Islam early on. And that's not just changing your belief system. Back then, that meant leaving behind a comfortable life and facing some pretty intense persecution.
That's a really good point. And, this is where we see this concept of hijra come into play. And hijra, a lot of times people think of it as just like migration.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's this profound spiritual journey of leaving behind what's familiar for the sake of your faith. So AbdulRahman's first hijra was to Abyssinia.
Modern-day Ethiopia.
Yeah. To seek refuge. Imagine the courage it took to leave everything behind, not knowing what the future holds.
It's incredible. Like, I can't even imagine. Really makes you think about, what sacrifices people are willing to make for their beliefs.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't end there. He later migrates to Medina. So he's one of the few who undertook the hijra twice for Islam.
Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah, talk about dedication.
Ah.
So arrives in Medina as a refugee. You'd think, got to just get by, focus on survival. Not AbdulRahman.
Right.
So the Prophet had set up this system of brotherhood between the migrants and the Ansar, the helpers in Medina.
Right.
AbdulRahman is paired up with a wealthy Ansari, Saad ibn Rabi.
Saad, really embodies the true spirit of Islamic brotherhood, offers AbdulRahman half his wealth, one of his gardens, even proposes letting him choose one of his wives.
Wait, hold on. Proposes? Like letting him choose one of his wives.
It highlights the deep commitment to creating this sense of belonging and unity within the early Muslim community.
I can't even imagine being in that situation.
Yeah.
That's next level hospitality.
It really is. It really is. But what's interesting is how AbdulRahman responds.
Well, he declines politely, right?
Yeah, he does.
Like this guy, he had his own plans.
He did.
He was like, nah, I'm good.
He simply asked for directions to the marketplace.
Oh.
He wasn't looking for handouts. He was determined to build his own fortune, even in this new and unfamiliar city.
Talk about a go-getter.
Yeah.
So start small, right?
Yeah.
Selling like yogurt, butter, dates, like the staples.
Yeah, the basics.
But even then you see this business savvy.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't just selling ingredients. He was creating value. He would combine these simple items into popular dishes, showed real entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, he was like the original food truck entrepreneur. And it's amazing how quickly his business took off. Goes from those basics to like trading horses, selling saddles. Yeah. And before you know it, he's one of the wealthiest people in Medina.
There's this saying that he could turn over any stone and find gold under it. Really?
It might be a little exaggeration, but it speaks to the success he achieved through his business skills. And of course, as Islamic teaching emphasizes, divine blessings as well.
But here's where things get really interesting. This guy, he doesn't hoard his wealth. He's incredibly generous, constantly giving back. And we're not talking about like a one-time donation here or there. This was like a core part of his life.
And this is really where we see this concept of zakat in action.
Okay.
It's a core principle in Islam that goes beyond just charity, It's about purifying your wealth by sharing it with those less fortunate. Recognizing that ultimately everything we have is a gift from God.
So it's not just about giving, it's about like the intention behind it and the recognition of where that wealth comes from in the first place. That's a powerful perspective.
It is. It really reframes wealth as a responsibility, not just a personal possession.
Yeah.
And AbdulRahman took that seriously, paid off people's debts, forgave loans, consistently donated to all sorts of causes. I mean, there's even this account from Talha ibn Ubaidillah, who himself was renowned for generosity.
Wow.
And he said that everyone in Medina had benefited from AbdulRahman's giving in some way.
That's a pretty impressive legacy.
It is.
It shows he was really living out his faith, through his actions, not just words. And it wasn't just about money. Even with all his wealth, he remained incredibly humble.
Absolutely. and devout.
Yeah.
He never used his wealth as an excuse to avoid hardship.
Uh,
He fought alongside the Prophet Muhammad in all the battles,
wow.
sharing in the risks and
It
sacrifices.
really shows that true faith isn't about like outward appearances or material possessions. It's about aligning your actions with your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lesson we can all take to heart.
Absolutely. Regardless of your faith or background.
Abdurrahman's life is a challenge to us, to examine our own priorities. How are we using our resources and talents to make a positive impact?
Great point. But, we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to this guy's story. We got to unpack it all.
Mm-hmm.
He faced these inner struggles, held leadership positions, played a key role in shaping the early Muslim community. I'm ready to dive in.
We've only just begun to explore Abdurrahman's character.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most fascinating parts of his story, I think, is this constant, grappling with the challenges of wealth
Oh, yeah.
while staying true to his faith.
Yeah, it's almost like he saw his wealth as like a test, something to manage carefully
Mm.
rather than something to flaunt, right?
Mm.
You remember that story about the massive caravan
Oh, yeah.
returning to Medina?
700 camels loaded with goods.
It's crazy.
People thought the city was under attack with all
Right.
that commotion. Aisha, the prophet's wife, heard about it, and she actually prayed for Abdurrahman,
Really?
asking Allah to grant him to drink from the waters of Salsabil, which is this spring in paradise.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, it really shows how his generosity was recognized even during his lifetime.
That
But even with all this success, he never let it go to his head. He's known for his simple lifestyle, modest clothing,
Yeah.
often blending in with like the poorest members of the community.
And this wasn't just for show.
Right.
He genuinely struggled with the potential corrupting influence of wealth.
Yeah, there's that quote.
You said,
We were tested with hardship with the messenger of God, and we were patient. But then we were tested with ease and prosperity after the prophet's death, and we were not patient.
wow.
It's a really profound statement.
It is.
Like it challenges how we think about patience. Usually we think of it as like enduring hardship. But he's talking about the patience needed to resist.
Yeah.
The temptations that come with like ease and abundance.
It's a different kind of jihad, right?
Yeah.
An internal struggle against the allure of worldly possessions.
He recognized that wealth, while it's a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
could easily distract you from spiritual goals.
Mm.
There's that story about him weeping while eating a good meal,
Ugh.
remembering how the prophet and his family sometimes struggled to even have enough barley bread.
It's like he carried this constant awareness of the sacrifices others had made.
Yeah.
And a reminder of his own responsibility.
It seemed like his wealth weighed heavily on him, always comparing himself to those who had less,
Right.
always striving to bridge that gap through generosity, even worried about the impact wealth could have on the Muslim community as a whole.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wasn't there a conversation with the prophet about this?
Oh, yeah.
Something about the treasures of like Persia and Rome?
Yeah, the prophet asked his companions,
Yeah.
how would you remain steadfast if you possessed the wealth of those empires?
Yeah.
And Abdurrahman, he expressed confidence
Yeah.
in the community's commitment to Allah.
So he was optimistic about it, but I'm guessing the prophet had maybe a more cautious perspective.
Yeah, he warned that, such wealth could lead to envy, competition, betrayal,
Wow.
even hatred within the community.
So a cautionary tale about the pitfalls of affluence. That's timeless.
Very much so.
Really makes you think. So it's not about demonizing wealth, it's about recognizing the responsibility.
Mm.
And Abdurrahman seemed like acutely aware of this. He actively fought against those subtle ways that wealth can corrupt your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that hadith?
Oh, yeah.
Narrated by Abdurrahman himself.
Where Shaitan boasts about tempting the wealthy?
Yeah, by making them misuse their money.
Yeah, he claimed he could make wealth so beloved
Yeah.
to a person
Yeah.
that it would obstruct them from its rightful use.
That's a chilling thought.
It is.
But Abdurrahman clearly took it to heart. There's this powerful image of him circling the Kaaba, repeatedly praying,
Wow.
"Oh Allah, protect me from the greed of my soul."
It shows his vulnerability, his recognition of that inner battle.
Yeah, constantly fighting it.
Right.
It's a reminder that wealth can be a spiritual test.
Definitely.
And his commitment to using his wealth for good, to resisting that negative influence, is really inspiring.
It is. But his sense of responsibility, it went beyond just personal piety.
Right.
He played this crucial role navigating these complex social and political issues within the early Muslim community.
Oh, yeah. like resolving the debate on how Muslims should respond to the plague.
Oh, right. A tough one.
It was a tough situation with strong opinions on both
The
sides.
plague of Amwas you're talking about.
Yeah.
Challenging time. Umar, the caliph, generally advocated for taking precautions.
Yeah.
Believed fleeing the area was the right course of action.
But Abu Ubaidah,
Yeah,
known for his unwavering trust in Allah,
yeah.
felt that fleeing was like a sign of lacking faith.
It's a genuine dilemma.
Yeah.
And it was actually AbdulRahman who steps in,
Hmm.
offers a solution based on the Prophet's teachings, who had advised against both entering and leaving a plague-stricken area.
So he found this middle ground,
He did.
honoring both perspectives, providing like a clear guideline for the community.
Exactly. Prevented further division
Yeah.
within the community.
And wasn't he also involved in establishing the ruling for accepting jizya from Zoroastrians?
Yes, jizya was a tax paid by non-Muslims living under Islamic rule.
Right.
And the practice had already been established with the people of the book.
Okay.
But there was some question about whether it applied to Zoroastrians.
AbdulRahman confirmed that it did.
Yeah.
Based on his understanding of the Prophet's teachings and actions.
His insights helped shape the policies
Yeah.
of the early Muslim state.
So he wasn't just a successful businessman and generous philanthropist.
Right.
He was like a community leader,
Right.
a problem solver,
Right.
a voice of reason in times of uncertainty.
His story really highlights how faith, wealth, and wisdom
Yeah.
can intertwine to create a life of extraordinary impact.
And his legacy
Yeah.
continues to inspire us. But, it's amazing. He always seemed to be at the center of these pivotal moments in early Islamic history.
Mm.
And speaking of pivotal moments, we haven't even talked about his role in the selection of the caliphs after the Prophet's death.
Ugh, that's a whole other layer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly showcases his integrity and his commitment to the well-being of the community. Oh. And I think it deserves its own discussion.
All right, so we've talked about Abdul-Rahman's business skills,
Mm-hmm.
his generosity,
Mm-hmm.
his ability to, navigate tough situations. But now let's get into the really pivotal role.
Yeah.
Choosing the leaders who would shape the future of Islam after Prophet Muhammad.
It's a fascinating time. After the Prophet's death,
Yeah.
the Muslim community faced this critical question, right?
Yeah, like who's going to lead us now?
Who's going to lead us now? Exactly.
And I can only imagine the weight of that decision. It's not just about choosing like a figurehead. It's about making sure everything the Prophet worked for continues.
And Umar, the second caliph, recognizing the gravity of this task, right? He forms this council of 6 prominent companions.
Okay.
It's like this advisory board composed of some of the most respected figures in early Islam, individuals who were, promised paradise, and among them,
Of course.
AbdulRahman ibn Auf.
So he's in the room where it happens.
Yeah.
But here's what I find so remarkable. This guy, despite his stature, his influence, he immediately takes himself out of the running for caliph.
Talk about humility.
Right. It's like, nope, not me.
It was a display of selflessness, really. He wasn't driven by ambition. His priority was the well-being of the community.
Yeah.
He understood that choosing the right leader was more important than power for himself.
It's a leadership lesson that's timeless.
It is?
It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of power.
Yeah.
But true leaders prioritize the needs of those they serve.
Mm.
And he doesn't stop there. He takes it upon himself to consult the wider community, to
Yeah.
get their input
Yeah.
on who should be the next caliph.
He spoke to men and women, even children,
Wow.
gathering a diverse range of perspectives.
It's like he was conducting a citywide poll,
Yeah.
really understanding that leadership isn't top-down, it's about involving the people.
It's a beautiful example of Seera, consultation.
Yeah.
It's a cornerstone of Islamic governance, seeking consensus.
Yeah. Making decisions that reflect the wisdom of the community. And through this process, AbdulRahman ultimately cast the deciding vote for Uthman ibn Affan to become the 3rd caliph.
Wow. A decision that really shaped the course of history.
It did.
And it's amazing. His involvement in choosing the caliphs doesn't end there. Later, during Uthman's reign,
Yeah.
the caliph gets sick and names AbdulRahman as his successor in his will.
So he gets nominated for the top job, not once, but twice.
You'd think he'd be a little tempted. But his reaction
It's remarkable.
is incredible. Upon learning about it, he goes to the Prophet's mosque and prays, "O Allah, if it is indeed that Uthman has entrusted me with this matter, then let me die before he dies."
He was literally praying to be spared
For leadership.
from the responsibility.
It goes against everything we think about power and ambition.
It speaks volumes about his humility, right?
Yeah.
understanding of the weight of leadership.
Yeah, it wasn't something he craved.
It was a duty,
Yeah.
but he recognized the burden it carried. And as fate would have it, his prayer was answered.
Yeah.
He passed away peacefully just a few months later, before all the turmoil that engulfed the caliphate.
There's even this account that the night before his death, he had a dream and he saw the entire Muslim community standing behind him.
Wow.
It's an image of unity,
Yeah.
support, as if his life work culminated in that final vision. It's almost poetic, that he was spared from witnessing the conflicts to come.
His life was about unity, generosity,
Yeah.
unwavering faith.
His death was a reflection of that.
Yeah. Ali ibn Abi Talib, upon seeing the massive crowds at his funeral, declares paradise is guaranteed for him.
A powerful statement coming from someone who would become the fourth caliph.
It really shows how much respect and admiration he had in the community. A true man of the people, someone who lived his faith through his actions.
And his legacy continues to inspire.
Even in death, his generosity continues. Frees numerous slaves, leaves a will granting significant sums of money to various causes, including like 400 dinars for each surviving veteran of the Battle of Badr. Just determined to leave this world a little bit brighter than he found it.
And you know what he did?
He really did. Ali ibn Abi Talib said, "May Allah have mercy on you, Abu Muhammad. You attained the goodness of the world, but you overcame its deception. You were never deluded by this world."
What a tribute.
What a beautiful tribute. AbdulRahman ibn Awf's story is a powerful reminder that true success isn't measured by wealth or status, but by the impact you have on others, the legacy of kindness you leave behind.
It's a story that's both inspiring and challenging.
Yeah, it makes you want to look at your own life
Yeah.
and ask yourself, am I using what I have to make a difference? Am I living my values?
And that's the most important takeaway. It's not just about learning about this extraordinary person. It's about letting his story ignite something within us, motivating us to strive for a life of purpose, of integrity, of service to others.
So as we wrap up our exploration into AbdulRahman's life, let's carry his legacy with us. Let's challenge ourselves to be a little more generous, a little more humble, a little more dedicated to making the world a better place. Who knows? Maybe someday someone will look back on our lives and say,
Like paradise is guaranteed for them.
paradise is guaranteed for them, and that's a wrap.